So we know we can't move. What can we do to help you feel comfortable for now? Is there anything that we can do that would give you any comfort?
And the answer is no.
Right.
It's interesting that he acknowledges that now, but then he continues to press for that exact thing that he says doesn't exist throughout the episode.
There's almost a bit of honesty in it where he's saying, I want you to keep giving this to me and it will not lower my distress at all, but I'm going to keep pressuring you to give it.
Yeah, I don't think he can imagine comforting himself. So he seems to be stuck in a child-parent model where someone else is responsible for making him feel okay, and he's not responsible for his own okayness. And even though he says, right here, there's nothing you can do, he continues to press her. After saying that, he continues to press her to solve his emotional difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
The remoteness of the place is the problem. Home ownership is the problem. Joblessness is the problem. Professional and financial insecurity is the problem. Like, there's nothing that my wife and kids can do. The only thing that would make me feel less alone is if I felt like my wife wasn't gritting her teeth through the times that I brought this up.
So, 20 seconds after saying there's nothing she can do, he is once again turned it over to, you're the problem and you're the solution.
And he's painting this picture of how she relates to him and his pain that doesn't match what she just did. Because she turned to him and with like a lot of tenderness, compassion, and warmth asked, is there anything that would give you any comfort here? That's not actually somebody that's gritting their teeth through it.
I do think there's times when she does grit her teeth because he's really mean.
Mm-hmm.
He's incredibly mean. And I
Sure.
would grit my teeth if someone was approaching me the way he approaches Jessica. So I'm sure he's right about that. That's not the solution, though. The solution isn't for her to respond to his abuse with kindness and generosity. That's not going to fix anything. Gritting her teeth is honestly a pretty reasonable response to the kind of treatment he dishes out.
I guess the point I'm making is that she does, and we do see the teeth gritting response at a different point in this as well, but she does offer him a pretty compelling effort at what he's asking for as well. And so it's not that she's always there, but she offers it and it doesn't land at all.
Yeah. I think one reason Boris chose Jessica is that she's unusually capable of providing the kind of maternal comfort that he's seeking. So when he talks about finding a place that feels like home and there's something missing from his life, and he's found this woman who's extraordinarily capable of that kind of connection. And even though he's found her, it still doesn't solve his problem because that's not the way you solve that kind of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you understand how this move has this thing that is helping you thrive? I don't understand. It's so plain. It's so simple. Like, can't you see how it's made my life harder?
Yes, Boris. Yes. And I would do almost anything at this point to help you feel better. I know that you're in a lot of pain. But my knowing doesn't seem to help. And I have failed to make you feel that I have sympathy for you, that I'm proud of you for doing it.
I kind of wish she wouldn't take this on herself. There's not really anything along this line. So in the approach of having more sympathy, I think she's basically maxed out on sympathy. I don't think that anyone could bring more sympathy to the table. I mean, not realistically. And so it saddens me that she's taking on this burden of saying, I'm the one who's failed here.
Mm-hmm. Something I'm noticing is that she will look directly at him. She's trying to offer real contact. And even as she's trying to reach him here and offer him what he's asking for, he's not looking at her. He's not available to take it in.
And so you feel really alone. And I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You can tell that he feels no comfort from what she just did, but he realizes that she's doing the thing he asked, and it still doesn't help. And I think actually he addresses that right now.
It doesn't mean anything.
I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary because these are some really smart people. Like they're brilliant, both of them, and to see these incredibly smart, capable people get stuck in this kind of trap. Marriage is just so hard for everyone. Like you can be incredibly smart and gifted, and marriage is going to be a challenge.
I will never again live in a house. It is somebody else's dream. I'm running around trying to figure out what filter needs to go into the water softener. You multiply that by 20, 40, like there's a dozen tasks like that arrive at your doorstep every day. Our time on earth is not long, like.
Boris, can we can we talk about me for a little bit? I want to talk about, like.
So we are getting to you, love. I'm just trying to explain where I am. Like, don't worry, it'll get to you. It'll get to you. You're not forgotten, I promise. You're on my mind all the time. This isn't just the Boris show. I'm just trying to explain. We will get to you, I promise.
So how does all...
He's being quite abusive right now, and she doesn't say anything, and Dr. Orna doesn't say anything, and it just gets bypassed as if nothing had happened.
Yeah, it's an interesting move that he controls this and he thinks about her, but he's the one that decides when the conversation should focus on her.
There's some mind twisting also. So he's like, you're on my mind all the time, as he's speaking to her in this incredibly harsh tone. It's extremely disturbing what he just did, and it's extremely disturbing that the therapist didn't stop the session and say, we need to talk about what just happened, because it's really harmful what he just did.
Yeah, no, that was a really interesting interaction. And so he's talking about something that's actually pretty mundane, the home ownership, the burden of home ownership. And the things he's talking about are fairly mundane. And those actually are like solvable problems on a logistical level. If you don't want to do it, there's ways you can outsource that stuff. It's a strange focus. And I think Jessica's responding to that when I think she's kind of like, this is bullshit. Can we talk about something real?
Yeah, she has a significant concern she wants to bring up, and he paints her as unreasonable when she says there's something that I want to talk about. And then he has this really aggressive reaction.
Yeah, and if this is a representation of how he thinks about her in his mind, it's not a good thing that he's thinking about her all the time, if that's true, because he's showing us how he thinks about her, which is he's in control, and he decides what she should and shouldn't do here.
Yeah, he does think about her all the time, but it's not with kindness and respect and appreciation. He thinks about her all the time with criticism and contempt. That would be my guess.
Kind of like she's not doing her job because he doesn't feel the way he wants to feel.
Yes, exactly. That she should be solving his emotional problems for him, and she's not, and so she's bad because of that. I think it's kind of like that.
This play out between the two of you, and what is the ask?
So I'm radiating negativity, which is no fun to be around for Jessica. And
So all of this is on your mind and heart.
yes.
And what happens?
So, like, right now, I'm feeling like, let's talk about us and the other side of the coin. Like, there's all the things that Boris feels he needs to be doing, and then there's the stuff that I need to be doing for us to live right now. I have to make money. And I was more stable at one point, and I'm getting less and less and less stable.
Because
what is
what
happening
is
here
happening?
is now is happening here.
How?
I've been not physically well for a while. I've had a persistent cough for like nearly a year. I've lost weight that I wasn't trying to lose.
This is a good example of the difference between the level of sympathy he demands and the level of sympathy he offers. It's a huge difference.
Yeah, we're not seeing any indication that he feels for her in this or that he's pushing himself to try to help her with it in any way.
Sometimes my hands will shake. Like my immune system is just shot. Like if I get something, I don't get over it. It just stays. That plus the emotional part of it, I just see that I'm heading towards a place where I will probably not be able to work at all.
Yeah.
And I said to you,
His face is he's just so stone-faced there. I wonder if it's just so interesting what it's like to be Boris. Like, does he feel sympathy for her? Or it seems to me, my guess is that her complaints feel to him mostly like a threat, which his complaints also feel to her like a threat, but she responds with so much more empathy than what he does.
If he's relating to her mostly like she's supposed to be the good mother, that she's supposed to take care of him like a good mother would, which does come through quite a bit in how he relates to her, then yeah, you're going to have like a hostile reaction to someone that you think is responsible for taking care of you being weak or sick or struggling, because it does become a threat to your well-being if you're relating to it as they're in charge of your well-being. But yeah, I mean, I'm watching him and I'm wondering what he's thinking, and I'd want to check with him about that as well and see what he says about it. But it's not coming through that he is concerned about her. I think he's sitting there angry that this is the focus, wanting to change it.
I think so too.
I think that I need you to go away for a while. I need you to move out in order to calm this situation down.
What would you prefer?
I would prefer to stay there. It's not a life that works for me, but it's even worse to move out.
Can the two of you imagine what would be a better idea to just either take a break or separate? What can you live with?
One very easy thing, one very clear but not easy thing from both of us. Boris figures out ways of not being so upfront with everything that's making him upset. Jessica continues tolerating and acknowledging Boris's difficult moments by engaging with them in a way that makes him feel like this is her burden too.
But I want to ask whether the solution you're looking for, trying to recruit Jessica to the task, is the way to go. I just want to tell you that sometimes that is a fantasy that is not realistic.
Recognition and acknowledgement and shared purpose cannot be a fantasy.
He's so quick to reject her professional opinion here. Like, he doesn't even pause to consider that she might know something about what she's talking about.
Yeah. I also noticed the solution that he puts forward, it's all about him. And so it's like, okay, I stopped being such a grump around the house and Jessica keeps pushing herself to support me better. But there's nothing in there about him supporting Jessica. So where is this commitment to, recognition and shared purpose when it comes to what she's just brought forward, that she's actually physically sick and she's the primary income earner for the family right now. And she's beginning to worry that if she's not able to stabilize herself, she won't be able to continue working. And her idea of what would help her stabilize herself is for him to move out. Now, this could be a win-win, actually, because he hates living in a house. He could go live in an apartment. He'd get out of changing the filters. But he's not willing to consider it. And so instead he says, no, I'll just stay here. We'll both be miserable. And he's just not putting forward anything about what's he going to do with the concern she's raised of I am getting sicker and sicker under this dynamic we're in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
She's saying, I don't know. She does know. This is one of the more assertive things I've seen Dr. Orna say, and I kind of wish she were a little more assertive about it because she's seeing him really clearly right now.
Recognition sometimes is code name for something that is beyond another person's capacity to give.
But then it's not a good dynamic for me.
Trust me, from clinical experience, sometimes the ask from another person, they can't give it to you. It might be that Jessica is saying to you, I cannot be the person helping you here.
And it's not that Jessica can't do it, it's that no one could offer him. She used the word fantasy, Dr. Orna did, which is the exact word. And so he has a fusion fantasy. He has a fantasy where someone's going to come in and solve his emotional problems for him, his internal emotional problems for him, and make them go away the way a mother would calm a 5-year-old. And that is not possible in adulthood. It's not that Jessica's not the person to solve this, it's that there is no relationship after the first year that is going to solve this before Boris.
Right, and so it's not specific to Jessica's willingness or Jessica's capacity. It's about the ask is unsustainable in an adult relationship. And
Yeah,
it's
of course.
also, and this is the part that just always sticks out to me is when there's a double standard. So the ask is not only unsustainable, it's unreciprocated. He's not offering anything resembling what he's saying he needs from her.
No, nothing.
I understand. The thing that I'm seeking, the other person can't give.
Okay, well, I want to hear that. I want to hear the two of you try to figure that out.
He's done this several times where he says, I understand, and then he repeats back to her what she said, but he doesn't agree with it. He still holds this fantasy in his mind. He still thinks that the solution is for someone else to solve his emotional difficulties.
We did this last week. Let's not, we did.
So how can I help you with that?
Look, the fact is that Jessica, and I think a lot of it is valid and understandable, is fucking furious with me existentially. And has very, very, very little rope to do anything other than grit her teeth through what I'm going through. She doesn't want to deal with this. She doesn't
What
want to
does it
hear
mean
about
to
it.
deal with it?
It's just with real soul and heart, just be like, love, this is a catastrophe for you. Like, in terms of personal identity and self-worth or purpose.
There's Jessica gritting her teeth right there. And I'm physically gritting my teeth right now. Like, this is so hard to watch. So he comes and says, I understand the person can't do it for me. And then 5 seconds later, he's like, she has to do it for me. She's not doing it for me. And he just goes back. So he's like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about my fusion fantasy. Let's go at it. And you can see the impact it has on Jessica right here. And it's having the same impact on me. He's asking for something that doesn't exist. He's asking for someone to take on his responsibility as an adult.
Yeah, and the solution he puts forward is he wants her to get as worked up about this as he is. It's not going to help. Like, even if she does love, this is a catastrophe. Like, first, no, it's not. It's a normal part of life that many people struggle with. Like, everything he's laid out is within the bounds of normal challenges that people face all the time in their lives and their marriages. And, he's struggling with his mood, his job, and kind of the daily tasks of maintaining a home. Like, okay, many, many, many people are struggling with those things. They're not catastrophes. And then the combination of like how he wants her to relate to that as a catastrophe, and he's not relating to her declining physical health as a sole income earner as anywhere near the same level priority or importance as what's going on for him. It just doesn't make any sense.
Why is that your reaction?
Because I have done that. I've done that. And you do not feel that it is enough.
Can you open yourself up to the possibility that you haven't?
Your feelings are so big and so they fill up a lot of space.
They take up all the room.
I'm tired of fighting for space.
I understand. How else are you feeling?
I was initially hopeful And now I feel doomed. And I just wish there could be some part of you that was like, my wife is like shriveling. My wife is unwell. Let's give her some stability. Let's prioritize that for just a little bit so she can get in a good place again, an okay place again. But your problem is so big that there's no room for those considerations.
What would Jessica have to do if she were to make room for herself in this marriage?
She'd have to prioritize herself here. I mean, so she's asking him, they're in this interesting kind of tug of war over who's got it worse. And like we've talked before, you and I, about people sort of like fighting for the one down position or the victim position of like, you know, it's a way of saying, no, you have to take care of me. You have to accommodate me. And so, you know, he's just made this move of like, this is a catastrophe. And now she's making a very similar move actually of like, your wife is shriveling, you know, and they're very expressive here. And they're both trying to make the point about how bad things are. And I just think it's the wrong point. If you're going to take yourself seriously about how bad things are, you're a capable adult and there are things you can do and they're not fun choices. It's not going to be the options you want, but either one of them could take a stronger stand here on like, oh, this is absolutely not sustainable for me. I have to change something, but I have to change something. And so I will change something. And so here, like she needs to stop appealing to him to get her out of this and stop putting her energy toward trying to rescue him. Direct that same energy, creativity, investment to what am I going to do about the fact that my health is declining and I've asked my spouse to move out and they're not willing to.
Yeah, so the attention she's directing to trying to take care of his emotional problems, it would be really good for her to direct that to taking care of her problems, emotional and physical. She would have to let go of the idea that she can fix this for Boris. And if Boris is suffering, you know, she could be kind to Boris and she could be respectful to Boris. But beyond that, she's going way, way, way beyond that. And so beyond that, she needs to let Boris carry his own responsibility for his own well-being.
It's actually kinder, more supportive, and more respectful to not overfunction for your partner.
Yes.
It may make them upset in the moment, although the overfunctioning also makes them upset in the moment, which is what we're seeing play out. But it's like a vote of no confidence to cross over to your partner's side of the street and start trying to handle their responsibilities for them. And it doesn't go well long term. But I guess I see each person here very connected with their childlike fragility and using that to try to appeal to the other person to care for them and to step into strength on their behalf. And what I would love to see each of them do, and either of them could go first on this, is step into your strength on your own behalf and start taking care of your own childlike fragility. You've tried many times now to appeal to your partner to do it. They're not doing it, or it's not working. I mean, I do think Jessica's made a lot of effort on that, and it's not working anyway. But yeah, if she directed the exact same energy toward trying to help herself here, she'd have much better odds.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, it would be really difficult for Jessica to work her way out of this dynamic, just as it would be for Boris. You know, there's going to be a lot of comments that say she should leave. That is one option. Another option is for her to try to do the work of what would it be like for me to actually handle myself well or handle myself better in this dynamic. And I often encourage people to try to figure that out before you decide whether you're going to leave or not. This marriage is offering Jessica an opportunity to learn how to handle this incredibly difficult dynamic by developing the personal strength necessary to deal with it. And that would serve her for the rest of her life, whether she ends up staying with Boris or not.
Yeah, I think it's too early to know that leaving is the best option. It may end up being the best option, and they didn't, as far as I know, they stayed together after this. But yeah, people are quick to try to solve the problem that way, but the problem is not that she is married to Boris. The problem is that she tries to solve other people's problems instead of her own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how are you two?
I think we're pretty good. I mean, yeah, I think we are good. I think circumstances of our lives have not changed particularly.
No,
But
but I think we're more than good.
yeah,
So, how'd you do that?
Do you want to answer?
I think what was happening around the last time that we saw you was big shifts and a lot of fear for both of us about our situation. And I think somehow it felt like if I signed on or co-signed Boris's unhappiness, that would mean I'd have to give up what I had just gotten, which was my time.
That if you acknowledge that it would open the doors to having that taken away from you.
Yeah, we'd have to renegotiate everything all over again, and I would
Lose what you had longed for so long to get.
yeah.
Right, and you know, that was really hard for me because I felt like I was I was in despair. I also had huge hopes pinned on this new part of our lives, and it was the very opposite of what I hoped for in every way. So I was in a bad place. I was kind of like reaching for a little comfort, having a hard time finding it. That was making it worse. It was just a dark time. And I think coming here temporarily exacerbated all of that, because there was a lot of talking about it that happened here, and it had a very long tail that pursued us for days after the session.
Yeah.
And
it was a very, you talked about it very differently a few months ago.
yes. So it just felt like we can't actually, we're not strong enough to withstand the initial blow that this process delivers before it begins potentially to help.
Frankly, I did not really understand, why is the talking not working? Why don't you feel understood? Why don't you feel understood? Like, you're saying things to each other here that sounded to me like, wait, this should be landing.
Do you think they understood each other?
Yeah, I do, actually. I don't think that's the problem. I actually think Boris got close to it when he said we're not strong enough to withstand the initial blow of this process. Yeah, I think lack of strength is much closer to what was going on there than lack of understanding. What do you think?
When, this idea that feeling understood is going to be the solution, I think that's often just an expression of a fusion fantasy, that my problem is that I don't feel like you understand me. I don't feel like you're hearing me. That's often someone trying to look for something that should be internal, and they're looking for it externally. So I'm trying to solve an internal problem without fixing the internal problem. I'm trying to solve it outside of me, which is what we do in childhood. So in childhood, so many of our problems rely on external solutions because we're children. In adulthood, most of our problems rely on internal solutions. We're the ones who are going to solve most of our problems, especially emotional problems. Part of that might be, by taking a solid position with a partner or someone else, but I'm still going to be the one who solves most of my emotional problems as an adult.
There's this idea that if my partner would understand, then they would do something different about this dilemma I'm in. But so they're each trying to explain the position they're in to the other person, and they're operating from the assumption, well, I understand the dilemma I'm in. And yet, even though they understand it, they're not doing something different about it. And so that's where it looks to me like this is about a lack of strength. It's not about a lack of understanding, because you have all the understanding here and you know how you feel, and it's still not moving your behavior. So why would it move your partner's behavior when it doesn't even move yours? And you're the one viscerally experiencing it moment to moment. It's, Boris saying like, I'll never live in a house again, but he won't move out of the house, even temporarily. It's Jessica saying, your wife is shriveling. I'm getting sicker and sicker. But all she's doing with that is appealing to him to help her with it. There may be other things that don't get brought up that she's doing, but there's this overall thing of like, I'm not okay, and if you just understood how much I'm suffering, then you would make me okay. But until you're doing that for yourself, there's not really a reason to believe it's gonna work to mobilize your partner that way.
The other possibility is that Boris understands quite a bit about how much Jessica is suffering, and he doesn't care enough about Jessica to do something about it. So it's not an understanding problem, it's more a caring or a strength problem.
Right, but I'm not sure she cares enough about Jessica to do more about it either. It's like how much does she care about her own suffering? Does she care enough to do something different? Yeah. So I think it's likely true that he understands and doesn't care enough to change what he's doing. But I think that's true on both sides about her suffering.
I agree.
Things should land, and it didn't.
Yeah. I think like when we are not feeling connected, the othering that happens is very intense. And he was like, you're just another parent who doesn't understand.
Yeah, I alienize her. I have been doing this to Jessica since we met. And I think it accumulates. And I think you've very justifiably gotten fairly sick of it.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't just that we stopped coming here. Like, I asked you to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things you said here last time you were here.
Yeah.
And so what happened then?
So Jessica asked me to leave, but like I really kept dragging my feet on responding to her request. And what Jessica didn't know was that for about 3 months, I had been planning like a complicated weekend-long to-do around her birthday in the city. And I am terrible at keeping secrets, but I had somehow, miraculously, through 3 months, managed to keep this secret. And I wasn't gonna give it up now just because I've been asked to move out, you know what I'm saying? Just because my marriage is falling apart, I'm not gonna give up the secret.
It seems like he probably could have moved out and still kept the secret.
Yeah, I don't see how those are related at all, actually.
Yeah, I think he probably could have done that. I mean, he obviously doesn't, that's his choice, but he seemed to try to tie those two together, and it doesn't make sense to me.
No.
So we got to have the weekend together, and a lot of fun things happened.
Like what?
Just everything worked out the way it's supposed to work out. One of the funnest things that we did is we went to a club and danced until all hours of the night. And like, it was just so relaxed. Everybody was so friendly. The music was great. The people were great. It was just an awesome evening. And it just seemed to just like create that little bit of extra room in Jessica to hear where I was.
Yeah.
And it was all that I needed, like just that little bit of extra hearing.
This doesn't add up for me. What do you think?
My honest impression watching this last bit was this is some really good PR. This is some image management, and they've come in prepared to repair their public image. That's how I read it. So
Yeah,
I do believe they had a nice time and that momentarily they're feeling better. But I also think this is a very polished, curated account.
Yeah, he is a writer, and he's brilliant. The way he speaks is so evocative and so convincing and so intense, and he's a published writer. I think that probably they came up with this as a way to try to tie this up with a bow. I don't think they've solved their problems, and that's pretty normal. I mean, marriage is it's a never-ending challenge. It will always present new challenges, and I would love to see them, I'd love to see them grow out of this and learn to love each other more than they do right now, or better than they do right now.
Yeah, I think they've found a way to feel better for now, but I imagine under pressure they would fall into a similar pattern again. Because they're kind of talking about it like they solved this through, some of just by having a nice time and understanding each other more. And that's not really addressing some of what they brought up as the problems.
And it's not addressing the behavioral problems that we observed, them doing in the session. What would it take for Boris to change? What do you think?
He'd have to take much deeper responsibility for his own well-being and also care more about the impact that he has on his family, because there's some things he's described where he knows he's having a serious negative impact on his family, but he feels justified in continuing to do that to try to extract from Jessica the recognition that he's after. So I think he'd have to have a problem with that, and he'd have to think more about actually their children, because he often shows up here where he's really, really connected to his own sort of inner child state. And I haven't heard them talk about their kids at all, but he did talk about, like, he goes around the house sort of exuding negative emotion and energy, and I think he'd have to care more about the impact that has on his kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really intense.
It would be about connecting to his own, find your inner adult, It's
find your inner adult, exactly.
It's not always more inner child work. Sometimes you've got plenty of connection with your inner child, and what you don't have is a deep connection with your inner adult. You're accepting your responsibility in life and just sort of being matter of fact about it. It's not a catastrophe. It's just a normal challenge. I can either figure out home ownership or I can live in an apartment, but it's not a catastrophe to struggle with figuring out the tasks of home ownership. That's just a very garden variety problem to have. And I think he just magnifies his issues to try to get support instead of just accepting that life's always going to have some challenges. It has up to this point. It will always have those.
So one of the challenges we face as adults is our brains are not really designed for adulthood. Most of our brain development happens when we're quite small and we're dependent on outside help. And so the thing you mentioned, that where he amplifies his distress to try to get support from outside, is, I think it's a fundamental human instinct, where when I'm very young, the way I get taken care of is by amplifying my distress. Coming into adulthood, it's really important for me to let go of that pattern. And when I'm in distress, I need to figure out what to do about my distress myself. And amplifying it and spreading it out into my family system is always going to make things worse and never going to make things better as an adult. As a child, that's a good strategy, but not in adulthood. I would love to see Boris pay less attention to the impact of Jessica on Boris and less attention to the impact of his environment on him, and more attention to the impact of Boris on his environment and on his family, especially like you were saying. That would be the journey for Boris to creating a better life for himself and for his family. And he would, if he were able to focus his attention on what is it like to live with me, and what do I want it to be like to live with me? What impact do I want to have on my wife and kids? That's a really good definition of who a person is what impact does this person have on the people they live with? I think that's a really good place for him to start. What about Jessica? What would it take for Jessica to get better?
She seems to get a lot of her sense of identity and being a good person from Boris reflecting that she's adequately supporting him. And it seems to really make her crumble when he says that she's not. I think she'd have to let go of that being the metric and care more about, is she doing what it takes to support herself and her kids. I really like your insight about the amplifying distress. That makes sense when you're a little kid. And, if you think about like a 3-year-old, if they're feeling really bad, they may have no idea whether it's because they're hungry, tired, injured, whatever it is. There could be lonely, all kinds of things going on. And it's actually not very realistic for a 3-year-old brain to sort that out and communicate it clearly a lot of the time. And so it can make sense for a little kid to like just make a lot of noise. And I think, you pointed out Jessica does have like a very nurturing maternal kind of energy. She really feels for Boris when he does that, when he just is like, I'm upset. And I think she'd actually have to be a bit more detached about that, where she would not feel like she needs to do anything right away about the fact that he's upset, and that she'd be able to just let him struggle with it himself and get stronger. I think her tying that in with her own sense of goodness as a person is a problem, and is probably going to lead to burnout in other areas of life as well. I could see her doing the same thing in her work or with her kids, or, she's at risk of overfunctioning in different areas of life, and that's not a good thing. So I think she'd have to take better care of herself and let other people struggle more.
I agree. I'd like to close by thanking Boris and Jessica and Dr. Orna for making this publicly available. It's such a gift. For Boris and Jessica to show up and just allow people to see this incredibly personal process they went through, and their pain and their struggle is a huge gift to us and to people who watch it. And to Dr. Orna also, to allow people to watch her work is such a gift. And I really appreciate that. This has been personally useful to me. Like, as you and I have been making these videos, I have learned so much. And many people in the comments have expressed how helpful they've been. And so I just want to express appreciation to people who made that possible.
Yeah, we didn't include the clips where Dr. Orna is getting peer consultation about this case, but there were a couple times that she does that, and she's open both with her peers and with Boris and Jessica about, I'm not sure why this isn't helping. I'm not sure why we're stuck. And case consultation is something that we both participate in, you and I, and it's incredibly useful. And it's the cases where you don't know why it's not working that end up yielding the most growth when you dare to bring them forward and let your peers see your work. And so I guess that's one thing that stands out to me here is I really respect Dr. Orna putting that forward, being real about, I'm not sure why actually everything I did here seemed to make it worse, not better. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really strong, solid move on her part to even be willing to do that. And it's something any practitioner is going to run into that from time to time, where you're like, I'm trying everything I know, and somehow this just keeps getting worse. So that's just a very human, real thing. And I loved seeing that portrayed here as well. I really appreciate and respect it.
Anyone who works with couples can feel for Dr. Orna as she faces this incredibly intense challenge. It's so hard. It's incredibly rewarding, but it's so difficult. And a lot of times, it just doesn't work. It's so difficult, and it's so complex. And it's amazing when it works, and it's incredibly frustrating when it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much. It's a delight to talk
James.
to you as always. Thanks for your insights, and I will see you soon.
See you soon.